Great morning, family. This is Tanya Brooks coming to you on this live this morning. Happy early April Wednesday morning. Today is the 3rd of April. I am your FBA community folk herbalist, and this morning I want to talk about something that I totally can relate to, and this is totally my opinion. But of course there is facts that back up my opinion, so to speak, and it is this: can disease, ailment, and conditions really run in the family? So that's to piggyback off of a lot of times, or the majority of the times, when you go to a doctor's appointment, you bring your children or your child to the doctor's appointment, there's always a questionnaire about family history of conditions, ailments, diseases. So again, can those things really run in your family? My opinion, my knowledge, absolutely no. What causes these things to run in the family or be a part of your family's history is lifestyle and eating habits. And I'm going to bring this full circle personally for myself. So I do not think or acknowledge that an ailment, condition, or disease can run in the family. It is lifestyle, and one's eating habits that create, and I know I'm ruffling some feathers, and the reason why I'm ruffling some feathers is because this now puts a lot of things back on who's watching. It's about responsibility. It's about choices. These things do not run in the family. I'm not talking about, because one, when we're born whole. And I'm not talking about a child who has been born and they're on the spectrum. I'm not talking about a child that was born with a hole in their heart, which usually has a direct link to one of the parents, which caused that. I'm not talking about a child that was born with a missing limb. Okay? I'm not talking about a child that was born with a cleft palate. Right? I'm talking about people giving their medical history and saying, well, yes, Dr. So-and-so, I do have a family history of, I'm going to name them, high blood pressure, diabetes, bipolar, schizophrenia, obesity. These are all ailments, conditions, and diseases that have been brought upon usually a young adult by family lifestyle choices and eating habits. All right? Prime example. After my mother succumbed to lung cancer in 1997, I made a conscious decision about, when I did go to my doctor for my annual, I did not check off history of cancer and things like that running in my family. Now, prior to my mother succumbing to cancer, my other aunt, her sister, had passed 6 months prior to her. And she had been in remission, but the cancer came back. And she eventually succumbed to now it was it had spread throughout her entire body, so to cancer. So about maybe 10 years before this particular aunt succumbed to breast cancer, she had been diagnosed with cancer and breast cancer, and she had both of her breasts removed. She stopped smoking, and started back doing things that made the cancer come back, and she succumbed to cancer. And then, so now this is my mother, her sister, and then a year or so before my mother passed and my other aunt passed, another aunt had succumbed to cancer. Okay, so from 1996 to I think my first aunt succumbed to cancer this is going to be kind of long, so I need to kind of hurry this up, but I'm just giving a history. So my first aunt succumbed, I think it was like maybe February of 96, and then 6 months later, another aunt succumbed to cancer. I think that was like maybe April, March or April of 97, and then my mother succumbed to cancer in October 27th, 1997. Now in 1994, their mother, my Gummy, that's what we called her, Gummy, my grandmother, this woman was everything to me. I learned so much from her. But she had succumbed to kidney disease in 1994. So from 1994, my grandmother succumbed to kidney disease, right? She had been spoken to years before she started doing the dialysis. Miss Amelia, you need to stop, eating specific types of things, yada, 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 yada. And I remember my grandmother saying, well, I'm going to live my life the way I've been living my life, and I'm not going to stop enjoying and eating the things that I enjoy eating. So my grandmother succumbed at, I think she was like 78, to kidney disease in 94. One of my aunts in 96 to cancer, another aunt in 97 to cancer, and then my mother in 97 as well in cancer. And what is the correlation in all of this parents, family members passing in my immediate family? My grandmother's kidney disease was definitely, absolutely brought on by her eating habits and hence her lifestyle. Okay? My two aunts, my mother, their cancers were brought on by their lifestyle. Smoking. They were all warned to stop these specific types of lifestyle, and they did not. So, family disease, ailment, and conditions do not run in the family. What runs in the family is bad or destructive, deadly sometimes, lifestyles and eating habits. So personally, when I go to the doctor and things like that, I check off no when it comes to specific things. My father succumbed to heart disease because of the lifestyle. So I check off no. There is no family history. Why? Because these deaths were directly related to their eating habits and their lifestyles. Those things are not in my DNA. They are not. So the great thing about this is you can stop this generational, and I say insanity, not curses, because you're not cursed with these things. It is a form of generational insanity that is taking place. When you know to stop doing something, when you've been told you have to stop doing something because this will be the destruction of you and your family, your lineage, your children, and you choose not to do it, that is a form of insanity. So you look at things like ADHD. You look at adults that have ADHD. In my opinion, that is directly related to lifestyle and eating habits. Has absolutely nothing to do with your family. Bye-bye. Bye, love you. Remember, no track practice today. All right. I'll let this one know. But yeah, it has absolutely nothing. This is about taking on responsibility. This is about making well and whole lifestyle choices for yourself, for your children, for your children's children, and break these generational insane lifestyles. Okay? So, I hope that, well, I know that this has definitely shed some light on, in helping people understand that there is no such thing as these things running in your family. It's not. Mental illness, you ever look at a family growing up? There was always a family that had a bunch of overweight people in the household, from the littlest one to the eldest one. Everybody in the family was big. Everybody in the family was crazy. All the men in the family had a bunch of other women. All the women in the family had a bunch of other men. You see where I'm going with this? Because family insanity is in so many different forms. It's just not the obesity. It's just not the ailment, the condition, or disease. It is also the mental illness. Right? Because that's pretty serious as well. You see a whole family with mental illness, and it's in different shapes and forms. The men as well as the women. I'm going to talk really quick about how culturally eating habits will cause a family or a culture, a group of people to form or to have mental illness. And this mental illness has to do with being bipolar, being schizophrenic, suffering from anxiety and depression. So in specific cultures, not more or less the North American culture, but I'm talking about in the Caribbean cultures, right? And most of the Caribbean black culture. All right? Stay with me. there is a lot of mental illness. And it is a direct link, and some of you have heard this and some of you have not heard this. But I'm going to tell you, this is one of the main reasons why a lot of Caribbean folk will be described as, oh, yo, she is crazy. She will turn off and on. She'll get the machete. Or he crazy. He'll get the machete. He'll cut you. In the majority of the Caribbean culture, the diet consists of different types of yams or pumpkin. And the reason why, and these are things that are digested or eaten on a daily basis. A lot of Caribbean folk will start giving their babies yam and pumpkin at an early age. And the reason why a lot of Caribbean black folk suffer from mental illness, and I've named the different types of mental illness, is because of this particular food. What happens with growing this food and then ingesting it is the soil and the food itself, right? They're usually like a big root. As it grows in the soil and then it goes into the food, is cyanide. Cyanide is in the soil, and eventually, obviously, it becomes a part of the yam. So over years of eating this particular food, you're ingesting cyanide. What does cyanide do to the brain? It puts holes in the brain. A lot of folk in the African, in the diaspora, eat yam. You're eating cyanide. It puts holes in the brain. And this is why so many Caribbean folk in the diaspora, African folk, the Haitian folk, Caribbean folk, suffer from mental illness because of the food that you're eating. And it's your holes are being created in your brain. So things that should be firing on a regular basis, it's not. There becomes a chemical imbalance. So this is just one example of how eating habits create conditions or family history of an ailment, condition, or disease. Okay? Listen, this video obviously will be on my YouTube channel, which is Homegrown Wellness 72 Community. Make sure you hit like, subscribe, and share this video. Make sure you order yourself a jar of sea moss from me today on my website, Homegrown Wellness, fba.company.site. Family, remember, be great to yourself because you are great. Be great to your family. Be great to your community. Without love, self-love first, we have absolutely nothing. And remember, as always, clarity is key, but without consistency, you have no balance. Family, be well.